Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining on this webinar about these 7 tips to improve your health.
Can you hear us well? Just to...
Yes,
Yeah.
can hear you very well, yes.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, you can introduce yourself first. Maybe?
Yes, so we are Julie and Rianne. We both are Ayurvedic health counselors and give consultations about health, nutrition, lifestyle, and we are also massage therapists, yoga teachers. So it's a whole package. In this webinar, we're going to talk about, as I said, these 7 very easy, simple tips, but that can actually change a lot in life. And we are going to explain with Ayurveda. And Ayurveda, actually, what is Ayurveda? It is the ancient Indian health system, medicine. It's also philosophy, a lifestyle, a diet. It's actually very, very big.
Yeah. It's the science of life, so it encompasses everything, which everything is a lot.
Yeah. So it is really a science. It's not a science as we know it in the West. It's much older. It's like 5,000, started 5,000 year old, or the first scriptures that they know about, 5,000 years old. So it's another way of thinking. It's another type of science which goes like parallel to our science, but it's a little bit different.
It is based in physics though, so everything has a cause and an effect, and it's not woo-woo or that it doesn't make sense. Like everything we do for a reason. It's just that Ayurveda has some different concepts that we in the Western world don't work with, that allow us to work more with health and understand better what's going on. And that's also why, from a Western perspective, you have to, or you don't have to have, but if you have a diagnosis, we can do a treatment. Before you have a diagnosis, it's kind of like, well, maybe just go home and give it some time. But as soon as you have a diagnosis, as from an Ayurvedic perspective, you're in stage 5 of a disease. So, and it can get worse, but there's 5 stages before that, which are stages that can be reversed, as most of the time. So Ayurveda already works with the little imbalances like constipation, like bloating, like
acidity,
yeah,
or a lot of digestive things, but also like every little complaints or mal-ease that you have in the body, Ayurveda already like knows a bit how to deal with that. So it's very good in prevention of disease, because there's different steps in a disease. As we mentioned before, there's like 6 different steps, and as soon as you have a diagnosis, the disease is already there. But Ayurveda can help with very simple things, very simple tips to prevent like
the
little things, imbalances to become a disease. So
we'll start with sharing the 7 tips, and we'll show them briefly, so that just for a little reminder. There we go. So, this is this is what it's all about today, the 7 tips to support your health and well-being. And then the first one is cook your food. So from an Ayurvedic perspective, raw food can be difficult to digest, as stated here, and that can result in gas, in bloating, and indigestion, constipation, pain, and even anxiety. So it also works on a mental plane. Ayurveda really looks at the human as a whole. So the mind and the body and emotions, they're all together. There we go. And cooked food is easier to digest, reduces the above discomfort, and with that you will be more nourished, because the nutrition you take in will be better absorbed in your body. So that's stop share. So that's like the first thing. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, we talk about Agni. And Agni is the digestive fire. And the digestive fire, you can kind of imagine that as a little fire that we have in our system, not just in our stomach, because that Agni that needs to digest not just food, but also emotions and experiences. So digestion in Ayurveda is like, it's all about digestion. If you don't digest, you have a problem, you get indigestion. And so that Agni needs to be strong. You can imagine that as a campfire. And in order to have a campfire that burns well, if you just put in like little pine needles, those just get incinerated. So if you don't feed your Agni, if you don't eat proper food, your Agni will not be able to burn well. So fasting, from an Ayurvedic perspective, there is a place and a time for that, but that's very, very specific. So for the general people, and for general situations, it's best to feed your Agni, because you need your fire to keep burning. If you put in like a massive trunk on a small fire, your fire will be gone. So that is also not helpful. So if you just eat once a day and you're like, I'm gonna eat my whole 3 meals in one meal once a day, then you also kind of burn out your fire, and you will not be able to digest that food well either. So it's really about putting in the right amount of food at the right time. So you listen to your hunger sensation and you eat until you're not hungry anymore, not until you're fully stuffed, but until you're not hungry anymore. And you work with that in that way with hunger, and to create an Agni that is strong enough to digest everything, so that you have enough fire to digest your food, and then have enough Agni left to digest your day, like your experiences and your emotions. So that's also why when emotional stuff happens, or you're very, very busy, your Agni is busy digesting that, and you might not be as hungry as you would be if everything is very peaceful. And then the raw food is kind of like throwing a wet log on a fire. That also doesn't burn very well. So raw food, even though a lot of people might say like, well, but then at least I have all the nutrients, because if you cook your food, you might lose nutrients. And yes, there's a truth to that. But then if you have a lot of nutrients in your body and you can't digest the nutrients, then there is no point in taking in these nutrients. So from an Ayurvedic perspective, cooking your foods makes the nutrients more available. It's like kind of a pre-digestion that you do outside of the body. And then as soon as you eat it, your body will be like, okay, I can work with this, I can digest this. And from very much personal experience, I can say eating less raw food or no raw food at all has been very helpful in my own digestion, with feeling bloated, feeling gassy, and all those kinds of things. And even though in summer it's kind of like, oh yeah, but it's nice and it's cold food, your digestion is you have to have a really, really strong digestion. Some people can digest it, but your digestion needs to be really strong. Like you need to have a really good fire if you want to put something wet on it, and that will nourish your fire. So yeah, it's important to eat cooked food to nourish your Agni and keep it strong. Then for the next one, there is this tip of keeping it simple. So when it comes to food, more isn't better, and neither the quantity nor in putting many different things into your dish. And so Ayurveda is all about simplicity. You make meals that contain up to 5 ingredients, not counting the spices, because spices is a whole world in itself in Ayurveda. And then simplicity, again, means better digestion and better nourishment. So from that perspective, again, if we have a lot of stuff in our dish, the Agni at some point is like, I don't know what to do with all these different things, because every food has different qualities. Some foods might be heating, like ginger or like chili or like peppers. Some foods might be more cooling, like milk, like mint, like cucumber. So all the foods have their own properties, and it's a big world of different properties. But if the properties are too different from each other, then it will become more confusing for Agni to be able to digest it. And also a lot of different things. It's kind of like, you know, every food needs its own way of digestion. Like meat is much more difficult to digest. Some cooked rice and some cooked carrots, for instance, those are much easier to digest in general. So as soon as you keep it more simple, your Agni will be better nourished, and you will be able to get better nourishment from the food you eat. Then if you eat a lot of different foods, or you eat raw foods, the thing that then happens is that you get indigestion. And that indigestion is something that in Ayurveda we call ama. And ama is the stuff that isn't being digested. And it's kind of stuff that clogs up the system. You can think about it like cholesterol, the bad kind, because we do need cholesterol. It's very important. Without cholesterol, we don't have hormones in our bodies. But the bad kind, if we have a lot of it, it clogs our arteries and creates high blood pressure and all the things. So ama is also something that is indigestion, and ama in essence is what creates inflammation in our body. So all the things that create inflammation in our body is indigestion from an Ayurvedic perspective. So in order to get that better, that ama needs to be digested. So again, the Agni comes into play to be able to digest all the toxins and the wastes in the body that the body can't deal with and create disease. So again, simplicity is important. Cooking the food is important so that you have a strong Agni, and the production of ama, or waste, metabolic wastes that your body can't work with, will be reduced, and so your health will be better. So those are the first two like things that Western medicine doesn't work with and Ayurveda does, ama and Agni, that are very important in working with food and digestion.
Okay.
And then the third one is,
So point number 3, start your day with a glass of lukewarm water. So when we sleep, we dehydrate. Since most of our body is made up of water, it is important to rehydrate. So actually, I don't know the exact numbers. I'm not very much of a number person, but there's a very small percentage, because we are so much like, we have 70% of water. If there's like 0.00 and a bit of percentage less water in our body is already dehydrated. It's a very small number that that counts as hydrated or dehydrated. So when we sleep, we don't drink for like 8 hours. So our body just needs some liquid. And a great practice in drinking a glass of lukewarm water first thing in the morning. Oh, it's gone. Yeah. So it's good to drink a glass of lukewarm water. Now, it depends a little bit, like in Ayurveda, everything depends a bit on everything, because every person is different. Every person has a different digestive system. Every person has a different metabolism, a different strength, a different body. And although we are very similar, people can have different imbalances as well. So it all depends a little bit on the person's natural constitution, how he is born, also on what imbalances you have in your life. But in general, I mean, a glass of lukewarm water is just a good idea. It depends a little bit as well on the imbalances, like I said. For example, if you have a lot of acidity, which is in your like in your stomach, if you have like acidity, reflux, or a lot of infections, which means like heat, or if you have like fever, for example, which are a lot of heat in the body, then maybe a glass of if it's too warm, the water, it's maybe not a very good idea. But normally for a healthy person, they say in Ayurveda to drink a glass of room temperature water, and in winter you can warm it a little bit. You can, if you're coldish, or if you feel like if you're having like a cold, or if you are always a bit like always a bit cold, or if you have more like constipation, then you can make your water a little bit hotter. So the digestive system actually has two functions. First function is to give nutrition to your body, just to absorb the nutrients and then diffuse them into your body. And the second function is to eliminate the toxins. And actually, water, just a glass of water in the morning, can help with these two functions. So it warm heat actually opens the channels in our body. Heat promotes the enzymes to flow. I mean, if you have water and you put heat in the water, water flows better. Water makes that everything moves better. I mean, heat makes sure that everything moves a bit better. So, and cold, on the other hand, constricts things. So if you have like too much heat, then you need cold to constrict. So if you drink like this glass of lukewarm water in the morning, it will open a bit the digestive channel and will also stimulate the production of enzymes, that will help for the digestion. And also, of course, water cleans the body. So if you drink this water, like Rianne mentioned earlier, the toxins in Ayurveda are called ama, and ama is just everything that is not useful to the body. It's not that much like toxic. It can be toxic, but it's mostly the things that we don't digest very well. So we always want to make sure the first thing in Ayurveda that we make sure of is that our digestive fire works well, because it all starts from there. Whatever we don't digest, it stays sticking in our body, and so this water, if you drink a glass of water in the morning, it helps to eliminate that, and so that the digestive tract is clean, and there's no absorption of these toxins, of these things that we don't need in our body. Anything else I can say about that? Let's have a look. Yeah, also a thing that is important, if you drink, it's just in general, it's always good to drink like small sips of water, not just one big glass of water, because like Rianne said earlier, our digestive fire, you can really just imagine it as a fire, as a campfire. And if you put sometimes you have to put, like, if you want to cook something, because our digestive fire is like a little pot on that fire, and you want to cook your food or the things that are there. And if you put like a big glass of water or a big bucket of water on that fire, the fire just goes out. So also like in summer, if you're very thirsty and you drink like a big glass of water, not really a good idea. Okay, you always have to drink when you're thirsty, but try to drink like with little sips, like in between meals. Also not during a meal drink a whole glass of water, because also the fire, what does water do with fire? It turns it out. So also in the morning, your digestive fire is still waking up. The fire is not very big in the morning yet. Depends. For some people, everything depends always on everybody. Some people are different, but most people, the digestive fire is not very highly burning in the morning. So then it's a good idea to stimulate it with this glass of water, but also not to drink like a big glass at once. Some people just need like a half a glass. Now some people need a whole glass, or need a glass and a half, for example. So it also depends a bit, and it's a lot about listening to the body, because your own body will always before you take tips, or you listen to there's so many health tips that you can have, but the first thing actually you have to listen to is your own body, what it needs. And it can be a bit difficult at the beginning, so it's important to not have a big glass, just start with some sips and then see what it does to your digestive system. If you feel already like this is too much, then it's for the next day you can have a little bit. So that was the water tip. Next one. Yeah, so it's also a good idea to have an early dinner, to not eat very late. And also, like I said, it always depends, not to eat a heavy meal in the evening, because our digestive fire it follows a bit the rhythm of the sun. And actually our digestive fire is highest when the sun is highest. When there's the most fire in nature, there's also most fire in ourselves, because we are actually part of nature. We are made of the same elements as nature is. And actually our body is just following the same rhythm because we are just part of it. There's no separation. We are made of the same things. So our digestive fire is highest between 12 and 2 and will be lower after sunset. So this is why you actually want to eat your meal also like 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. And this will help you to fall asleep easily and avoid accumulations of toxics in the body. So the digestive fire, like I said, is highest at noon, so at lunch. So it's better to eat actually your biggest meal in the morning or at lunchtime. Also, it depends a bit, but then your digestive fire goes down again. So it's good actually to eat before the sun goes down. That's because then after when the sun is down, your digestive fire also goes down. Of course, in the north of Europe or in certain parts of the world, it's a little bit more difficult because the sun sets maybe like at 5 in the afternoon. So then to have your dinner at 4 in the afternoon, that's a little bit too early. It also, like I said, it depends on a lot of things. But and the first rule is always listen to your body. You always just, whenever your body is hungry, then you need to listen to it. It means it needs food. But it's a good idea to not have like this late dinner because you will fall asleep easier when your stomach is not full. When you have a full stomach, your heart beats goes up again. You are processing. Your system wakes up again. And if you have like 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed a meal, then your body has some time to digest and then to rest as well afterwards. You also want to not have a late dinner because there's a lot of processing going on actually. And in the night, around 10 in the evening until 2 in the morning, this period is actually a very transformative period where you process a lot of things, where your digestion is high again, digestion of the food that you ate, but also digestion of what happened during the day. So if you have like a very late dinner, you're fully processing your food, but you don't have the energy anymore. Your digestive fire doesn't have the energy anymore to digest other things, like what happened during the day, like the mental and the emotional processes. So it's good to actually, to have an earlier dinner, not too heavy, so that you have still your Agni, your digestive fire still has the energy to digest the rest, like the emotions, the mental processes at this stage of the night. And then from here on, we can directly go to the next step, which is actually a following step. So to go to bed before 10 in the evening. And why? Before 10 p.m., our energy is low and our body slow down, which makes it easier for us to fall asleep. So between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., our bodies and minds are processing a lot. Like I said, this is a good time to be at rest, so our energy is used for the natural processes. If you are active during this time, you are more likely to feel tired the next day. When the sun goes down, actually our energy goes down as well. So you always feel a bit like more tired at the end of the day, around 7 or 8. You're a little bit like, slowing down. Your system is preparing itself to sleep. And if you don't follow this impulse, this drive to fall asleep, if you stay awake until 10, like I said, from 10 till 2, in this gap, the body gets awake again. The body there's a lot of processing going on. And also in the natural rhythm, you will maybe notice if you didn't fall asleep before 10, then you like around 10, 10:30, 11, you wake up again. You get hungry again. Your digestive fire starts again, and your mind becomes sharp again. Your mind starts worrying, or starts planning the next day, or planning whatever you have to do. A lot of students actually like to study in this time. I mean, sometimes as well, because they don't have another option. But it's actually a good time, yeah, for the mind. It's very clear, but it's not very healthy to do it. But you might have noticed that that in the evening you're tired, and then you wait, and then you wake up again. So, but actually it's a good idea to keep that energy to fall asleep before that. Use the slowing down energy until 10 in the evening, to use that to actually go to bed. The best time, already, like I said, with everything, it depends where you are on the planet, what season you are in, but around 9:30 is a good time to actually fall asleep. And then use this deep transformative energy between 10 and 2. It's a very powerful energy, a very transformative energy, and to use it to really process and have a deep sleep. Because later, I mean, the clock in nature works with specific energies, so I'm explaining that a little bit. Because later, from 2 until 6 in the morning, you have another energy. So first you had the energy in the evening that slows you down. Then you have another energy which is processing. And then in the early mornings, 2 till 6 in the morning, you have another energy which is very light, very awake, a bit restless. There can be like some anxiety, or it's a very light energy. And usually you might have noticed, when you wake up at like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, you wake up from some noise, and then you cannot fall asleep anymore. It's very difficult because there's no heaviness anymore. In the evening, there's a lot of heaviness, but early morning, there's a lot of lightness. So you start worrying, the anxiety may start, or you might have a lot of thoughts and a lot of worries, and it's hard to actually like land again. And in this time, you don't process that much. So if you didn't fall asleep in the first period, and if you didn't have this deep sleep from 10 till 2, you won't have a deep sleep from 2 till 6. And then your body will need some deep sleep. So what does it do? It tries to compensate and take deep sleep from 6 until 10 again. Because from 6 until 10 in the morning, you might notice there's like a heavy energy again. It's very hard to wake up at that time, actually. When your alarm goes at 7:30, it's harder to wake up at 7:30 or at 8 than at 5:30 actually, or at 6. So your body will want to recuperate that with an earlier sleep, which is a deep energy again. And but actually, for the metabolism, for your digestive fire, it's actually a good idea to wake up before that time, because it's a very heavy time, and you want to actually get rid of that heaviness in the morning. So actually, a good time to wake up is around 6 in the morning. As I mentioned, it always depends on where you are in the world and what season. But mostly like before sunrise is a good time to wake up, because then your digestive fire will help as well, your digestive fire, your whole metabolism, and then you can help the heaviness to go out of your body as well. If not, when you keep on sleeping through this heavy period from 6 till 10, then you will keep on having a heavy day. You might have noticed. I hope that's a bit clear. So, to explain it in a nutshell.
And then on that note, we will continue with the next one, because we have that heaviness in the morning. So then it's in general a good idea to move our bodies every day, because our bodies are made to move. That's what our body is designed to do. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, aerobic exercise is the best. So it's not necessarily aerobics, but exercise like walking, like cycling, like where you don't overexert yourself. And Ayurveda is in the classics very specific about that, and is saying that you should only exercise at half of your maximum capacity. So that's kind of where you are still able to easily breathe through your nose. If you do more, you are depleting yourself. And in the long run, this can create physical, mental, and emotional issues. So going back to the clock that Julie just talked about, in the morning, we have this heavy energy, this sluggishness, this density, this like, how are we going to do this? And so that is actually the best time of day to actively move. Also because it's a very building time of the day. So if you want to work on strength training, having enough nourishment in your body as well. So if you just do strength training and you don't eat well and you have a poor Agni, then you can do all the strength training you want. You will be very much depleting yourself. But if you take good care of yourself with the tips that we're giving today, then the morning is a good way to get rid of that sluggishness, to start your body, to strengthen your Agni as well, to get rid of the Ama, because that can then be digested, and to just set a really good tone for the rest of your day. So yeah, that's basically it. Because then you can also like a lot of people, they do exercise after work, and then again you're in that time slot that has more lightness. So again, from 2 to 6 there's more lightness. So if you then exercise, you can go for a walk, you can do easy things, but we're kind of in the afternoon preparing for sleep, because sleep is very important in Ayurveda. You need nourishment, you need sleep, and you need to manage your energy levels. Those are like 3 pillars of health that Ayurveda is very very keen on. And so if you do like CrossFit or like something like really intense in the afternoon or even in the evening, you're revving yourself up again. And so that slowing down that happens during the afternoon, that rhythm of nature, you're kind of disrupting that. And if you do it sometimes, you might be able to get away with it. Or if you're really young, you can get away with a lot more than once you get older. But there, in the end, there is always the price to pay. So exercising in the evening, you get more into restorative yoga, meditation, gentle walks, to just kind of keep the energy flowing, but definitely not exerting yourself. If you really want to do more intense stuff, then the morning is the time to do that, between roughly between 6 and 10, to really get your system going, to build, and then use that same heavy energy in the evening, as Julia explained, to fall asleep and have good quality sleep, so that you can recover from all the things you're doing, and that your body can do all its maintenance, which it needs to do.
Maybe one more thing, like after when you had a good sleep and you digested your food well, in the morning, all the nutrients are in your tissues. All the nutrients are there, they are absorbed in your tissues. So you have more energy to spend them as well. Whereas in the evening, if you would exercise in the evening, you already used a lot of, you ate during the day, but you're using them constantly. So in the morning, you already have all of these nutrients available. You had a rest, so you have more capacity to exercise.
Yeah,
that's just a short.
Yeah, thank you. And then from not necessarily so much an Ayurvedic perspective, although Ayurveda is also more from a yoga therapy background, as I'm a yoga therapist. It's important to, if you move, to watch yourself consciously move. So often how we think we move is not necessarily what is happening. Throughout our lives, our body adapts our movement when trauma happens. So you fall, you start limping, and then you limp and you create tension, and that can kind of create its own little tension world inside of your body. So, and after you've healed, that tension doesn't necessarily let go. And so that is a really good and unuseful way to accumulate tensions in your body that create compensations, that create in the long run, again, pain and discomfort. So if you observe yourself making small movements, like just your arm or just your leg, you can notice if other body parts are trying to help out. So they're compensating. And just to kind of invite you to see if you can see if that's happening and what is happening. And then also, obviously, the breath is very important. So when we compensate less and we breathe better, we will experience less pain. So the example I always like to give is like you can raise an arm, and you can do that by, I'll show you from the side, by just raising an arm if you have that capacity to do it. But some people will just raise an arm and then from here continue to raise their arm, but do that with their backs. And then if that's the way you always raise your arm, with your back and not with your arm, your shoulder joint, then at some point your back will be like, I'm doing a lot of work here, which I'm not supposed to be doing. So it will start to hurt. Same thing for if you want to move your leg and you do move your leg, but you use your pelvis or your back to do that. So all these compensatory patterns, they in the long run create discomfort and pain. And so if you can be really honest with yourself as you move and you really make simple movements, like I love yoga, and yoga practice and any general movement practice is very complicated because we move our whole body, and a whole body has a lot of joints which have to individually move well. And if they don't move well, then they just keep moving in their habitual pattern, which might be a pattern that is causing you pain and discomfort. So, and a compensatory pattern doesn't necessarily have to create issues, but if it does and you experience pain, then that's something that you can work with through this simplifying movement, conscious movement, and you can't change what you're not aware of. So it really is a practice of watching what's happening, because if I close my eyes and I'm moving my arm, then I think that that's what I'm doing. But then if I watch myself, and it's like, I think I'm just moving my arm, but that's not really what's happening if I'm honest and I'm looking at what I'm doing. So that's a very useful thing to do. And habits take time to change. So if you have a movement pattern because you fell when you were 3 years old and that created a compensatory pattern, and if you work on that when you're 50 or 30, then that's a pattern that's been there for a long time. So you can try a movement once and be like, okay, I've looked at it, but it takes time to practice and change your habitual movement patterns. And then also as a side note, that these days a lot of people start with yoga or with physical movement, but from an Ayurvedic perspective, it starts with nutrition. Like a lot of pain and discomfort comes from malnourishment, and a lot of people trying to feel better through movement, which I don't want to say that movement doesn't work, but a lot of time getting better nourishment works a lot better than exercising, because from an Ayurvedic perspective, exercise can actually create more pain if you're already depleted and in pain. So nourishment is actually the opposite of movement, of depletion. It's building, because it's nourishment. So oftentimes it's actually better to start with the Ayurveda and then move on to the yoga, so that your body is healthy and functioning well and capable to do the movement and the exercises that you want to do. So yeah, that's kind of how yoga and Ayurveda link together.
Yeah, I think like a lot of inflammation gives pains in the body. Yeah. So with nourishment, we can do a lot against inflammations or malnourishment, or just the fluidity. Sometimes with cracking joints, like it's very
So that is kind of what we wanted to share with you today. These 7 tips, a little bit more elaborated. So feel free, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself, or if you're already unmuted, speak
Maybe
up.
We can say something about our retreat as well.
Oh yeah. Hang on. Little pitch here.
So if you would be more interested about like to fully immerse yourself into these things, I mean, we both are Ayurvedic counselors as well. So if you have any specific or general issues, we also give like health, nutrition advices. But also we are actually now in a place, in a beautiful place. You can see a little bit through that window there, although, but in Vejer de la Frontera in Andalusia, south of Spain, with a view on the ocean, and it's a place in a permaculture projects, so regenerative for nature project to regenerate the land and the trees. And we are going to do a retreat here, an Ayurvedic retreat, together with a yoga therapy. So to really like for 1 week fully immerse in, for example, these tips, but a lot more. I mean, Ayurveda is very big, yoga therapy is very big. So to like fully immerse in these things, so you can really feel what it does to your body, what it does to your mind, to your emotions, what it does to you, and also to learn about these things. So we will give like a lot of explanation as well, and the theoretical part behind it as well, like why we do certain things. So also so you have the immersion and you learn something, you can take it with you. So I think you shared that in the email, no?
Yeah, I will send, well, we'll send you the recordings with some more information about this retreat and about individual consultations that you can book with us to really be able to help on your specific needs, because these 7 tips that we shared are very general, but are in general applicable to pretty much anyone. But everyone is different, everyone needs different things, and everyone has different complaints and issues and other things they would like to work on. So in that sense, individual consultations, either Ayurvedically or yoga wise, are very helpful to really be able to pin down what you need and adjust it to what your body needs. Yeah, so that is what we offer personally and together in May 2025 here in south of Spain. So it would be really great to see some of you there or other people there, whoever is interested, to really experience what Ayurveda can do for you, and how yoga therapy can help you as well. And then now I would like to open the floor to questions, if there are any. And if not, then that concludes the webinar.
It makes and everything is very clear.
Thank you so much for listening, for giving you some of our time. Giving us some of your time. And
hope you can do something with these simple tips that you experience as well, what these can do in your life.
Yeah, and with any doubts, do feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to help out. So have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.